They look like model boats floating in the night, rising and falling in the darkness, red and green lights. My feet dangled from the aircraft as I sat in the door, just the roar of the rotor blades and the vibrations through the floor. The warm wind how it buffeted, and the smell of the sea, as I fixed and adjusted my monocle in an eerie colour of green. We drew near, hovering just off the deck, as the pilot and flight deck crews did their final checks. We were then summoned with a wave of a wand. We moved across the deck, safe from the inky beyond. The aircraft got lashed down, the ship found her course anew. The sea soldiers returned and headed back out into the blue.
You're listening to Blue Pigment Podcast, sponsored by Huscarl. Go to huscarl.co.uk to find yourself some amazing printouts, stickers and t-shirts. Use the discount code BluePigment. On October the 14th, 1066, the Battle of Hastings, King Harold had fallen, yet his loyal bodyguards, the Huscarl, continued to fight, holding their oath to him until the last man was killed. The Huscarl brand now stands for that committed cause and loyalty to a shared brotherhood, all combining with a passion for great design. They seek to continue the Huscarl ethos, providing the ultimate in design, quality and sustainability. Their products are showcased by the modern day Huscarl. Follow the you, not the fallen. When you get to huscarl.co.uk and you use the discount code BluePigment, that will get you 15% off. So that means you could have a number of different things in your house or in your possession by the end of the week. Not just stickers, printouts and t-shirts. They also do, or they're about to do, other clothing ranges such as hoodies, fleeces, long sleeve t-shirts, caps, beanies, you name it. It's coming out from Huscarl, and they're all quality design and quality in the actual product itself. So if you're a quality person, like you should be, go to huscarl.co.uk, get yourself some quality t-shirts, stickers, printouts, caps, hoodies, beanies, whatever. Go there, have a look at what he's got on offer. I wouldn't miss out. You're getting it at a discount rate. If you're listening to the podcast, by listening to the podcast, you're being given the discount code, which is Blue Pigment. It'll get you 15% off, and you'll be a better person for it. And everyone will recognize you. People will, I recognize that person. They wear a Huscarl top. They must be familiar. They must be a good, decent, strong human being, able to wrestle the wildest of bears and crocodiles and a well-trained wrestling bear. Yeah, you heard it here first. Go get yourself a Huscarl top, and then go practice wrestling bears. It should turn out okay, I think. Hello everyone, today I'm joined by Mitch. He's a firefighter and a health and nutrition expert. I don't know, expert, would you say that? You've done a few?
Yeah, I don't like the word expert, but yeah, someone that might know a little bit more than normal, than the normal person. Yeah. So if you want to just introduce yourself, that would be better. Because yeah, all right. Yeah, so my name's Mitch. I've been a firefighter for almost 20 years now. So this is my 19th year. I joined when I was 18, so you probably work out how old I am. So you know, I've loved that job since I first started at 18. It was always something I wanted to do from a little kid, and I'm fulfilling that dream now, really, at the minute. But the other aspect of something I wanted to do when I was a kid, I wanted to be sort of like a coach or a fitness coach or a health coach, or get myself involved in some sort of sports coaching or whatever else like that. So I naturally sort of found myself falling into the world of nutrition. And now I sort of coach clients through health and nutrition, and I create workshops where groups of people come to me in a similar fashion to things like Slimming World and Weight Watchers, but with a bit more in-depth knowledge and understanding of what food is. And I deliver workshops doing them as well. So we talk an awful lot about within the workshops and with my clients that I have one-to-one about how food affects our mood and, you know, our mental health and things like that. So it's people don't really see how they're linked, but they're hugely linked. So yeah, so they're my two big things: fire service and my health and nutritionist business that I do on the side.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we'll start with the nutritionist stuff, because like you're saying about the mental health aspect of what you eat. Talk to us a bit more about that. So I've always said that if you eat 5 burgers and 5 chips for 5 days, if you ate the same thing for 5 days in a row, you are going to be in a world of pain, really, because mentally you're not looking after your body, the nutrition that your body needs. You're not looking after it and not giving it the right stuff that it needs to stay healthy and stay happy. So
yeah,
what's your advice to your clients on nutrition and positive mental attitude?
So for me, in the sense of when it comes to getting out of that routine of eating the 5 burgers every week, and feeling lethargic and tired and all the rest of it, is just to initially get them to paint their own picture. So get them to realize actually what they are eating. So I do it with me workshops, I do it with one-to-one clients, friends, family, whoever they're interested in wanting to improve their nutrition. I just get them to write down a week or 2 of actually what have you eaten, because then on reflection you look back and think, actually I've had several fatty foods, I've had several takeaways and things like that are full of salts and sugars and all these things that all taste great and sound great and all the rest of it, but ultimately aren't fulfilling our nutritional needs. So when it comes to things like as we use the example as a burger or fried food or kebabs and things like that, there's an awful lot of vitamins and minerals we're not getting where we would if we'd been a bit more balanced with our eating routines. So that's where the very first thing, I just always get them to self-reflect, have a look at what they're doing, and that sometimes is a big shock to people, really. So once that's sort of, we've got over that sort of episode and we've had a realization of we're not eating overly healthily, then we move on to, right, let's start now creating a sustainable plan that's actually going to make us feel better, help us lose weight, and actually make us feel more able to, I always say, jump out of bed and get to work. And not many people do that, but that's always the thing I ask people to, when you get up in the morning and you've had a takeaway, the night before, everyone without fail will feel lethargic, or they've had a bad meal or a fatty meal the night before. I could
definitely sing that about like a Chinese. After a Chinese, I feel like I've been out drinking all night because I feel so dehydrated.
I'm exactly the same. I get up and I've got a headache. I need water. I just feel, completely dead to the world. But that, as you say, it's the MSGs, the salts and things like that are in the Chinese that is just zapping all that goodness out of you, because your body's now processing that through the night. So your body's working through the night, trying to process it. So it's working extra hard. The salt's zapping all the moisture out of you. Yeah, so that's why you wake up in the morning not feeling great. So as I say, we paint that initial picture, get them an understanding of how they've been eating over the previous weeks, and then we move on from there. And then, as I say, we start really basically from your 5 a day and setting out your plate, and that's and drinking lots of water. 3 very simple things that I get people to do. So 5 a day, it's dead easy, dead simple. People think, oh God, I'm going to fit 5 a day in. Well, if you think about it this way, and I always simplify it a little bit more, you see on the news where a portion of veg has to be the size of your fist, and you have to have a certain palm of your hand of a number of carrot or whatever. I just think, well, actually, if you put it down to, a banana, and then have, that wasn't a prop that was laid there. It was just literally laid there. A banana, that's classed as 1 of your 5 a day for me. If you have an apple for a mid-morning snack, that's 2. If you have, let's say, a chicken salad for lunch, and that's got some cucumber, tomatoes, a lot of lettuce in it, for me that's 2 or 3 potentially, because you've had different vitamins and minerals from different fruits and vegetables, so you gain some more goodness from there. So that's maybe 4 or 5. So even by lunchtime you're already potentially hitting your 5 a day. Come to the evening, and then we get to our evening meal, and we have, let's say, chicken and chips and peas and carrots. Carrots, there's another portion, 6. Believe it or not, you've hit your 5 a day quite easily, and that's only because we've started early. So I always recommend people have some sort of fruit for breakfast most mornings, or every morning if they can.
be it an orange, an apple, banana, blueberry, strawberries, just some sort of fruit in the morning, which will help you achieve that 5 a day.
So I've actually taken that one that you've said there about starting early. I've seen you say that before on one of your Facebook or Instagram posts, and I've actually adopted that. And I normally have a banana and an apple, as my breakfast now. But it was quite hard at first, going from what I'd normally have would be a moderately temperatured breakfast or a hot breakfast, and then going, now I'm going to get strawberries or berries or whatever out of the fridge and have a cold breakfast. It was quite a bit of a jump, but I've now sort of started preferring a cold breakfast to a hot breakfast, as long as I have a brew with it as well. But I suppose if your environment is already cold, you're probably going to not want to have a cold breakfast. So making sure that you've warmed up before, you're not just jumping out of bed and going, I'm going to eat this cold thing. It's just probably going to be quite miserable.
Yeah, yes and no. I can see that point. But if, let's say, you jump out of bed, and again, every client I say to them, have a pint of water before you do anything. Get up in the morning, don't have a coffee, don't have your breakfast, just have that 10-15 minutes of Zen time, just to get yourself woken up and get yourself into some sort of state by having a glass of water, a pint of water. And at some point, you're obviously going to need to go to the toilet. That's going to flush an awful lot of toxins that have built up through the night that your body's been processing. Just by having that drink of water, it's helping remove them now. So that's got it out. So that hopefully now makes you feel a bit more sprightly, a bit more awake, and a bit more about it. So if you've got that done, then really whatever comes after, you should be awake and ready for it, kind of thing. Not should be, but you feel a bit more, more awake, ready for it. So, and again, when you sort of say hot breakfast is cold breakfast, don't get me wrong, there's been plenty of times where I've got up in the morning and I fancied a big bowl of porridge, but I've sliced a bit of apple on it, or I've put some strawberries on it, or I've done something. So you can always make these combinations, but you can always have that fruit if you don't fancy it in the morning, maybe at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Fruit doesn't have to be at a set time of day. Just it's not going to do anything bad to you. That's it. When I see and hear people on social media put out that, you're eating too much fruit, it's going to make you fat. Get lost, you moron. There's no chance of that happening. I'm telling you now, it's not. There's a lot of fiber. I mean, obviously there's natural sugars in there, but that natural sugars brings an awful lot of vitamins and minerals along with it. So that's that one. But so with fruit in the day, that's a great start. Drinking copious amounts of water is a big thing. Again, like I've just said about having a drink of water in the morning, that just flushes them toxins out of your body, gets them moving and gets them out of the way. So that's always a big thing I always ask people to do. The 8 glasses of water is what equates to, I think it's 1.25 litres of water, which isn't, in the grand scheme of things, an awful lot of water. Now, that's a litre of water I've got in my hand. It's not a vast amount of water. But again, it's not another prop. It's just I just have all these things around me anyway. So drinking that rough about a water isn't a lot of water. So I'd recommend, maybe even 2 of these. I would probably even end up at 3 or 4 of these a day personally. I would. So drinking water is a fantastic way to, 1, help you lose weight, 2, remove toxins. It's a really big tool. And the last thing is setting your plate out when you're making your dinners and your lunches and breakfasts and whatever else. Now, whenever, I remember when I was a kid, or just through life, when you have your dinner, you have your protein. Let's just say big chicken. Let's have a chicken dinner tonight. Okay, so we have a big protein, so have a nice lump of chicken breast. Then we'll have a nice lump or a nice pile of chips. So half our plate's almost devoted to chips, and then we'll have a side salad. Just to complement that, we're getting some sort of veg or on the plate in some sort of way, and that's it. Now, actually, if we flip that around and change the starchy carbohydrates as the chips and reduce that down to 1/4 of the size of a plate, and the other half of the plate that's remaining, devote that towards your vegetables and your salads. Again, you create a healthy balance within your meal, within your diet. And again, it's a fantastic tool to help you lose weight. It just puts things into the correct order by managing that, that using that as a tool.
Yeah, you're still getting the same amount of food and you're still getting the things that you like, but just in moderation.
Correct. And that's always, again, a very easy thing, and I always say to you, moderation. Everyone thinks, Mitch, you must eat clean all the time. You must, eat healthily all the time. I was like, no, I don't at all. So what did I have, you know, yesterday? Chicken. No, I didn't have lasagna. I had lasagna. I had a chicken breast before because I fancied some chicken. So I had a whole chicken breast in a wrap just before having dinner. I ate that, and then I had a nice dollop of lasagna, had a side salad, and well, not side salad, but a decent portion of salad and chips. You know, it's not unhealthy. It's just, again, moderation, making sure you're eating the right portion sizes. So, you know, it's being realistic with that.
So setting out your day like that, you're drinking enough water, staying hydrated. Yeah. You're starting early with your 5 a day, making sure that you're starting early, breakfast, getting through those 5 a day. Whereabouts do you suggest putting your fitness or your health, you know, the physical activities within that day?
Yeah. Now this is a thing that a lot of clients come to me and sort of say, I can't get the fitness bit in. I'm struggling. All right. So if you sit on the settee of an evening and watching Coronation Street whilst going through Facebook or Instagram, you're telling me you can't spend 15 minutes just having a walk around town, and you know, I genuinely, and it's very easy for me to say, and people probably, you know, dislike my opinion on this, but if you've got 15 minutes to sit on the settee and scroll through Facebook, you've got 15 minutes to have a walk or go for a light jog or a brisk walk or just something. Is always an option. But I'm mindful and I appreciate that that lives are hectic. People do feel tired, lethargic after a long day at work. They've got kids to run around, they've got all this happening. So I appreciate it. But I'm a big person that I will get up to purposely, knowing if I've got a busy day, I will get up at 5:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, ensure that I'm out the door for, you know, 5-10K run before going to work, and then off I go, kind of thing. And I know I've hit my exercise routine at some point during the day, you know, and I know I'm putting my body into a fasted state, so I'm burning more calories to a certain extent. So it's definitely an option. Get up early if you want to lose weight and you want to get fitter. Then definitely try and get up earlier.
What would you say to those people that
wait a minute, you know that bear that was going to run around in the background?
Yeah.
You see her? Go. Hang on, I'm going to turn around and show you the bear. Oh, she's gone.
Hello.
I told you a bear would walk past at some point.
Sorry.
So, oh, you've gone.
She's gone now. Oh, I've gone.
Yeah, you've gone. Your camera's disconnected, I think. Whilst you sort that out, I'll just throw another couple of questions out there about people that might say that it's too cold to go for a run or too cold to go for a walk. How? I mean, I'm not asking this of mine because you know, I have some clothing that I wear to go running during the colder months. So, hey, you're back. What would you suggest to people that say it's too cold to go out and do physical activity during the winter?
Again, you know, if you've just put an extra coat on, an extra jumper on, you know, again, you can go and do it. There's no excuses in my eyes. You know, last year we had a good dumping of snow, and again, I'm probably a little bit more extreme, like some other people that you probably know and yourself, that will always go out there and go regardless of the weather and go out and do it. But there's been times I've got up at 5:30 in the morning, it's chucking it down with snow like it was last year, and I've gone, Jesus, don't fancy this. But as soon as I put that extra layer on, I've put a pair of gloves on, I've got a woolly hat on, I've got my music on, and put myself into that zone, I could be anywhere, it doesn't matter. And it's kind of getting that mentality of, I've got to do this, and I want to see, you know, ultimately you've got a goal and you want to get there, so you've got to do these extra steps and these little difficult parts, like getting up at 5 in the morning to go for that run in the freezing cold, in the dark, and all the rest of it you want to. It's about just tooling yourself up the right way, and that is by preparing, getting your woolly hat, getting these extra pair of socks on, some gloves. Just, you can just go and do it. There's, you know, there's no reason why we can't. So, you know,
when I first joined the army, obviously that was 2003, so a long time. You know, long time. A lot of things have changed since then. but it was kind of seen that if you ever went out on a run, it was shorts, t-shirt, and trainers. That was it. You didn't wear anything else. Doesn't matter what the weather was like. Shorts, t-shirt, go. And I remember I used to hate it. It was miserable. And then obviously as the army sort of developed and people were a bit more into health and nutrition and dressing appropriately for the environment that you're in, started enjoying going out for winter runs a lot more. So now I have like not trousers, but they're like skins, like running skins that I wear, then the shorts. Then I have my t-shirt and then a windproof jacket. And it just makes running so much more enjoyable. So that it doesn't have to be this miserable thing that you do. And depending on your route as well, you could have a route that takes you past places you've never seen before. And that could be your enjoyment of changing the scenery each day and each time you go out.
The biggest enjoyment I get from when I run at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, whatever it is seeing the sunrise. I don't care what pace I'm running. I don't care about what music I'm listening to. I don't care about trying to achieve anything at that point, but just seeing the sunrise and that, you know, just having that moment to yourself is just amazing. It's worth getting up at that silly o'clock to get out the door to go for the run. Every time it puts a smile on my face. And if people can appreciate that and have that opportunity to go and see that you know, sort of 5 in the morning when the sun's coming up, honestly, they would want to do it more. They definitely will. And the best times, I think, is when it is coming into March, into the early part of April, when it's still fairly dark and you just see in the horizon the sun, the glow in the distance. The sun's not quite up yet, but you know spring and summer are on the way, and that's sort of a huge, you know, the glow in the skies bring that warmer weather, that nicer weather with it. So honestly, that's the best time. But just going back to the previous question about, you know, people not being able to get exercise in when's the best time, as I sort of say, like, you know, if you can't get up in the morning because you're rushed, because you got out the door at 7 o'clock in the morning, whatever else, and off you go kind of thing, then just try and allow yourself, it's personal time, half hour at the end of the day. As I say, it could be a walk, it could be a little jog, it could be a couch to 5K, it could be just, you know, grabbing a couple of can of beans out of the cupboard and doing a few little sort of dynamic stretches and weighted exercises kind of thing. Just do something is always better. And again, mentally, it's only going to improve, you know, your mental well-being as well as your physical. So it's definitely, if just do something. As I say, if you're sitting there for 15-20 minutes flipping through Facebook, you can definitely go and lift a can of beans up a few times. I'm sure of that.
I suppose it's the same thing as well, is what example are you setting for your children if you are getting out of bed at 9 o'clock in the morning or something, you know, something silly like that, and you're not doing your exercises, you're not eating healthy and acting healthy. Like I know, you know, I've been in bad routines in my past where I'd put the kids to bed and I'd be like, I've got some adult time now, just to myself and with me and my wife, and we just relax for a bit. And instead of relaxing, maybe going straight to bed and then having the more relaxing time to yourself, like you say, in the early hours of the day. You're still getting the same amount of time. It's just that it's either at the end of the day where you're lethargic and burnt out, or the beginning of the day where you're full of beans and you've got that energy to spend looking after yourself. Yeah.
You've got to, you know, again, it's another thing I would ask people to do is like when I ask them to reflect on their nutritional diary and look at what they've eaten over the past couple of weeks, months or whatever, I'd also give them, you know, write down a diary of what your day consists of or what your week consists of. And then we can sort of pick out gaps and places where we can meal prep, or we can for the week ahead, or we can get you out doing an exercise, or, you know, increase your 10,000, you know, get to 10,000 steps, increase your steps each day kind of thing. So, you know, it sounds boring in initial parts of getting that planning in place and that understanding of where you are. But once you know it, it becomes a sustainable plan. And that's my big buzzword. And it's all over my Instagram and Facebook pages. You know, I've always used the word sustainable, because once you find that pattern and you get to a happy place where you can eat takeaways, you can, you know, you can sit on the settee and do nothing. But if you go for the run once or twice a week and you eat healthily most of the time, you can enjoy a balanced life easily, which then becomes a sustainable, healthy life.
Yeah, it's not the dietary thing. It's like trying to lose weight rapidly is really unhealthy, because you're most likely going to binge later, or you're going to do a diet. So I don't know if you've ever heard of the Cambridge diet. It's basically like canned milkshakes for as long as you can go, and people lose weight on that really fast, but they feel and look terrible all the way up until the point where they go, I've had enough of this, and they end up just pounding the weight back on. So it's a lifestyle change is what you're selling to your clients.
Exactly that. It is really, in the sense of that we just put more balance into your diet, and we get an appreciation of actually what is your actual food allowance. What, when it comes to your calorie allowance, the government send out these numbers of a male should eat 2,500 calories, a female should eat 2,000 calories, and that's a rough guidance, and this, that, and the other. But if you eat 2,000 calories of pure fat or pure carbohydrates, or pure protein to a certain extent, you're never really going to lose weight. Really, you'll stay where you are. But if you have a balanced calorie intake, if your macronutrients, your carbs, fats, and protein, they're all balanced, you will lose weight, and you understand what your calorie allowance. So my calorie allowance to yours or somebody else is going to be completely different. I could, and I do easily each day consume over 3,500 calories a day easily. And I haven't put any weight on for it. I think I'm quite a fittish guy in this. So I know by eating that number of calories, I can sustain where I am. But if I went and put a person that was, let's say, shorter, who didn't exercise as much and didn't have the same physique as me necessarily, and then put them on a 3,500 calorie diet plan, then they are obviously going to put on weight. So you've got to understand what your allowances are, and how that creates a balanced approach towards your meal planning and prepping and diet plan.
Yeah, your fitness has massively increased from the time I've known you. I know that you helped me out with that charity event not too long ago, and you were up there with the top three were yourself and two other guys that are both paratroopers and triathletes. So just to be in that top three, I was very impressed. So you did amazingly well on that. Is that road biking? Is that something you've been doing for a while now?
Yeah, road biking. Yeah, I've been doing it for a good number of years. But I've just I had a hip operation a few years back, which set us back with running and things like that. But my hip in the last 3 years is sort of come on leaps and bounds, and it's recovered quite well. And now running is again a fantastic thing, and I do enjoy my running. I really do. And again, not so much for I appreciate that I can run some distances quite well and I can keep going, but again, the thing I appreciate mostly from it is the clear in my head. Going somewhere else, I can just zone out, listen to some crappy music in my own little world and enjoy my life and just keep running. And that's a happy thing. That's a really big thing. Being outside in the fresh air, in the sun, in the rain, wherever, I'm in my own little bubble, enjoying a little jog is fantastic. That's the biggest thing, is running for me now at the minute. I cycle constantly, every day, most days really, but it's not so much of a chore. It's just like a natural habit now that I do. But when it comes to a run, I actually look forward to it. I actually look forward to getting out on the road and treading a few miles and just feeling the fresh air a bit more, and as well as road cycling.
Seasonal as well. I did some road biking sort of like this time last year, and my feet were in bits afterwards because maybe I wasn't dressed appropriately. But my feet were really bad.
Well, road cycling for me sometimes can mess me up. Is this where I did a ride from where I live back to down to Devon, and it was 255 miles, and I did it in 18 hours, just one ride straight down. And when I come off it, my Achilles was on the verge of snapping, my neck, I'd collapsed the disc in my neck. There's loads of little things like that, and that's what sometimes cycling does to you. You just get yourself sort of stuck into this position, and it doesn't really help your hamstrings so much, so you get dead tight hamstrings, tight back, and all this, that, and the other. So and a lot of stretching to relieve that pressure and everything else. So
how did you build up to that? Did you do any build up to that, or what was the most riding you'd done before you'd gone to think I'll do 250 odd miles? Like
100 miles, I think I did won it, but it wasn't. Yeah,
so just off the bat, you did 100 miles, which I know is really hard in itself, just doing 100 miles, and then off the bat you're like, oh, I'm going to double that, and then another 50% of that as well.
Yeah, and then up over some extremely horrible hills that never ended. It felt like they never ended. It was horrible. But yeah, really
learned a lot about yourself doing that, because that's big and deep time.
Yeah, a little bit, but I think the training, my training didn't consist of more than 2-hour training sessions for cycling a day. And what I did within that 2 hours was high intensity training. So I would exert myself over the point in which I was in a lot of pain and exhausted and didn't want to push anymore. For the fact that when I come to do a slower paced ride, knowing that I've got 255 miles to cycle, and I'm going to do it in whatever time, that I'm going to take it a little bit, at a steadier pace, an easier pace. So actually, my exertion levels are all the way up here, but the actual pace in which I'm doing it is down here, so I can manage it. And as long as I keep myself fed and topped up, I'm never really going to exhaust myself. The only bit that did exhaust me, as I say, was my Achilles and a couple of joints and bits and bobs which weren't conditioned necessarily for it. So yeah, that played a big part, really.
It's not really it's not really until you really push and stretch yourself that you see the stuff that your body can actually achieve. I mean, maybe about 7 or 8 years ago now, I did Ben Nevis 7 times back to back. And so the first day I climbed Ben Nevis 3 times, from sea level, pretty much, all the way up to the top of Ben Nevis. And after the first day, I'd done it 3 times. I knew I still had another 4 times to go, and I was absolutely done in. My back was in pain, my knees and my neck and my shoulders all in bad way. I had a little rest, put my skins on, my recovery trousers skins, for about 4 hours, took them off, and I felt right as rain again. So I did it another couple of times, and then again I felt like I was in a really bad way. But eventually, I was quite numb to it. Completed the 7 times, raised money for charity, but I was like chuffed with myself, because I never knew that I had that in me until you actually go for it and give a challenge a go, I guess.
Well, that's when it's more mind over matter. You become mentally strong. That's the thing. If you can block out pain, you can block out lactic acid build up and all that kind of stuff, and you can just zone on actually what it is you want to go out and achieve. And your body can do anything. Your body will. It's your mind that's going to give up before your body. That's always the case every time. 100%. It's mind over matter. If you can get your mind right, your body will just keep plodding away. If you keep feeding it, giving it the right nutrition, it'll go constantly. It won't stop. It will keep going and going and going. If you keep feeding it and giving it the right energy, it's your head that's telling you, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can do it. And then having that conflict, that's the thing that's stopping you. That's it. It's mind over matter. Having
the fitness levels that you've got and the mentality and the nutrition, how does that help you out in your professional life, being a firefighter?
I mean, obviously we've got to be fit. That's a big thing. We get tested quite regular on our fitness levels. So obviously nutritionally, I've got to be knowing I've got decent energy levels for work for that day. So again, I always make sure that I'm, there's always a term in the fire service, you never know when your next meal is going to be, kind of thing. Yeah. So we sort of plan, to make sure that we have a decent breakfast. When it comes to 11s, is that they're having something to eat decent there again, and at lunchtime it's another meal. And because that's the old fire service saying is, you never know when the next meal is going to be, so make sure you eat when you can. So we do. So that's always a big point, but it's making sure again that we eat healthily when we're doing that. But as I say, fitness wise, the biggest testing point when is in a house fire, stupidly hot conditions with the breathing apparatus set on your back, lugging hose and equipment, or over your shoulder, and possibly a casualty as well, and whatever else. And that is when your fitness levels need to be tip top and at the highest. That, you know, that's why I take pride in my fitness, knowing that if I get put into that condition, or even being, you know, cutting someone out of a car, I know that my fitness isn't going to let me down, and I will be able to fulfill and complete that task, knowing that I'm fit enough to do it.
Yeah, and you're quite high up in your as rank wise. Are you? Tell us more. Are you the boss?
I was until not because I had two roles within the fire service. So I was a full-time. I am a full-time firefighter at one station, and I was a retained part-time on-call pager watch manager at another station, and that's where I was, you know, the gaffer, let's say. Let's say so yeah, I was there doing that, and when you're in that role, let's say you don't get your gloves dirty, let's put it that way. So you sort of, but you know, it's taken me 19 years to get to that role, but just through, you know, the way life has gone and other things, that eventually I've stepped aside from that role, and now I've just prioritized my full-time role, where I'm currently a crew manager at the minute. I've just been made up to a role, but I still get hands-on, I still get dirty, but also, you know, take the truck out in charge, and, you know, and detail people what to do at an incident. So I love being a firefighter. You know, I always say it's, people go, what do you mean by this? But bear with me. It's like the Premier League football player job of the Joe Blogg jobs, and everyone goes, what do you mean by that? Well, I'll say, well, everybody wants to take a picture of a firefighter, of a professional football player. They want to be with them, they want to talk with them, they want to get autographs, they want to have a picture with them, they want to spend time with them, this, that, and the other. They get looked up to a certain extent. And when we're out on a job, or we're just driving down the road, or we're at a fete or at community, you know, events, exactly the same happens. You know, people want to come and have pictures with you, and people want to talk to you about whatever random stuff they've got on their chest. I know a firefighter at this station. Do you know them? This, that, just the other day, you know, I had only a small fire. It was someone had set fire to a blooming sofa in the middle of a park. Why? I don't know. But anyway, put it out, walked back across, and a couple of young kids said, is it right if I have a picture with you? I was like, yeah, it's fine. So a couple of kids had a picture with us, and then cleared off, kind of thing. So that's what I mean by it. And it's fantastic in that aspect, that, you know, you're driving down the road on blue lights, or just coming back from a job, and, you know, kids and even full adults the same age as me are waving at you, you know. And there's a lot of appreciation, and that aspect of the job, you can't, I don't think you can match it anywhere else. It's a fantastic thing that feeling is
I get that.
It's really nice.
We get that on sort of Remembrance Day. So I recently did the parade in Cambridge, and, you know, I was in my uniform, and people were walking past saying, oh, thank you for your service, and that sort of thing. And I always say this about, you know, the armed forces, so Army, Navy, Air Force, and the other public services, so the police, fire brigade, ambulance, and NHS. They are always on duty. You know, they're on duty. Their job is to be the go-to people. You know, when you're in need, they're the people that will be there to assist you. So, especially with, you know, with yourself, you're in the country that you're operating in. So, for me, when I go on tour, it's, you know, I'm not doing an operational tour in the UK. When things need to be dealt with and I have to do my job thoroughly, it's normally in a different country, but you're in the country that anything could happen at any time. Whereas mine's kind of like, it's like an intense, when you go away to somewhere, it's an intense period of time, whereas yours is kind of like a consistent long time that you've been in the fire brigade and having to deal with a lot of instances in your time. But yeah, I've explained this one quite a few times. I'll do it again anyway, but members of the public service, like yourself and I and our colleagues and my friends and your friends, are like the white blood cells within a body. So if you imagine there's the system, and everyone's just going about their business. They're the red blood cells that are just going about their normal daily life. And if a cut or a bruise or a snag or something goes wrong, in order for those red blood cells to carry on doing what they do, the white blood cells need to get in there and fix that problem. And the white blood cells of the system, as in being society, are the service personnel like yourself, the fire brigade, police, ambulance, etc.
I like that.
Yeah, someone told me that.
I might use that.
Yeah, someone else told me that. I stole that from somebody else, which I'm sure they stole it from somebody else.
I'm going to steal that. Well, yeah, it's going to carry on now. I'm going to steal that one myself, so I'll use that definitely. Yeah. That's a good one. I like that.
So talk to us about some of the incidences you've been involved in. I know some of the high-profile incidences would include the Alton Towers incident. I don't know how much you can disclose on that, but yeah, how was that for you?
Yeah, it was.
So first of all, we're just for those who don't know, the scenario was the Alton Towers train collision.
Smiler, roller coaster incident. Yeah.
So what was that day for you?
Yeah, it's going to sound like the old cliche. It was a normal day at the fire station kind of thing. We're just getting ready to go out to go and fit a couple of smoke alarms, and then the bells dropped. And that was just to respond to Alton Towers Smiler and a crash on a roller coaster. So when we got there, it was clear that we were potentially sort of late to the call because the ambulance service were there in numbers. But we got there. We got our cutting equipment down there very quickly. Realised that actually the whole, say, cart or train that were up in the air were full with injured people and not so injured people. So there was 16 other people that had to stay there for a period of time whilst we concentrated our efforts in rescuing the 4 that were injured. So it was a very complex incident that had some highly skilled doctors at hand, which were very fortunate and to be with us. But it was a job that put us to our full skills and abilities to the absolute max to ensure that it was as successful as it possibly could be. And I think everyone on the day did their absolute best, and we worked hard. We were, as a fire service, I was quite proud of our efforts at the end of the day, because I think we did everything that we could. Obviously, we could always learn and improve and do things quicker and better, but when you dealt with such a dynamic incident, it was as good as we could have done within the moments that we had and the time that we had to do it. So I'm proud of my involvement. I'm proud of the crew that I was with at the time's involvement, and I'm proud of the service of how we conducted ourselves and did it. And you know, unfortunately, 2 ladies lost their legs in the incident, but the situation could have been, could have been a lot worse. But they were, I was very fortunate to meet all of them at an event a few months later, where I just got to have a chat with their friends and family after, and it was quite humbling, really, to sort of to have that moment with them, really. So yeah, it was a very complex incident that will stay with me for the rest of my life, and I don't think it's an incident that will ever be forgotten, really, for many people. So yeah, it was a challenge, but it seemed at the time at where I was stationed that we just had a run of really complex calls and things that were in the press and national news and international news at the time. So just not long after the Alton Towers incident, we had the Bosley mill explosion, where unfortunately we lost 4 people in it, but we rescued another 30 out of the incident. And it was the most, as I say, it was the biggest incident I've ever been to in my life, and still is to this day. it was a very, very complex incident with cylinders, voids, explosions, several houses on fire, a big warehouse on fire, barns on fire, a wood processing mill on fire, cars on fire, lorries on fire. Everything was on fire. It was a very. We were there for days, weeks after, going back and still putting out fires, trying to find the lost individuals, unfortunately, and it was a very. It just seemed at the time that I remember looking back within that period of 2 months, we just seemed to have everything fall out our door. But that's the swings, one for a better word, but it's the swings and roundabouts of the fire service. Sometimes you can have sort of some quieter jobs where it's run of the mill, soaked on fire in the middle of a field, or cutting people out of cars and things like that, or the odd house fire. But then you just get battered sometimes, and you do get jobs that it just don't seem to end, and you get in one to another. So yeah, and I think
that must be quite dramatic for some of your crew and maybe yourself as well. How I know the Army's sort of dealing with mental health and traumatic incidences has come on leaps and bounds, especially since sort of the Afghanistan days and Iraq days. So within like the last 15 years, the Army's mental health involvement and engagement to improve that type of thing has improved. How has the fire service changed within the same sort of time frame that you've been serving for mental health aspect?
I imagine with the Army, you would have had a kind of a macho aspect years ago that you get over it. It is what it is. Man up kind of thing it was a term that was used years ago, but now it is about discussing and getting it off your chest and having them open discussions about incidents. And we have something called TRIM. So we have people within the fire service that are trained to come out and talk to you, no judgments, about how you felt that incident went and how you feel you did in that incident, and how what you saw has affected you, and you get that opportunity to get things off your chest and go from there. And if you need further support, there's Mind, which massively support the public sector and emergency services. And obviously we've got very fortunate that we've got an occupational health department that can refer you on to all sorts of counselling and support that help you out. But nowadays it is very much get back to the station, let's clean all down, let's have a moment, let's go upstairs, have a cup of tea, and just let's have a chat, let's have a think about what we did and what we didn't do. And I dare say, people sort of talk about the grims and the gruesomes to get it off the chest, but also the aspects of them conversations, as it is always in the fire service, is how could we have done better? What could we have learned from that? What if we get a similar incident to that again? How are we going to ensure that we do it quicker, better, right, kind of thing? So that, I think that's drilled into us as a service, or as an organisation, that we now have them conversations openly about incidents and how it affects us.
That's the way forward, isn't it? The Army does exactly the same. So I'm a trim manager, so I used to be a trim practitioner, so be the person that goes in and talks to the person and just find out how that traumatic incident was for them. So for those who don't know, trim is trauma risk management. So I would hold like a team of people that are practitioners, and when a trim incident was to occur, I would then signpost the practitioners to go and deal or speak to the individuals that are involved in a certain situation, and then that information would come back to me and I'd pass it up the chain of command. But exactly the same sort of dealings with, so talking about stuff. The only thing for us really is, we might have an incident that's out on tour, and when you're out on tour you kind of expect it, but there's the stuff that sometimes happens when you're least expecting it, and you're on an exercise, for example, and something traumatic happens on an exercise and it kind of takes you by surprise. I think that's where some people can sometimes get caught out, but it also could be as simple as somebody driving past a collision on a motorway on the other side of the road, and they look over and see something that they had definitely not expected to see, and then before you know it, they've got a traumatic incident, which may have been seeing a body, and you never know when it's going to hit you, really, this a traumatic incident, and the first thing you need to do is talk about it.
Yeah, definitely. And everyone deals with it within their own way. So I don't really come home and talk to my wife or my family about incidences that I've attended, be it a funny one or a gruesome one or whatever, or it's creating that separation for me, is that I come home, I can enjoy my family, I can enjoy my life. I've done my shifts, I'm at home now, that's me. Don't get me wrong, it would be inhuman of me to be, or very robotic of me to still, when I'm sat down or going to bed, to not think, how are they? I wonder how they're getting on. I wonder if they survived or whatever, or could I have done better? Have I done this? Have I done? That's natural. That's being human. So don't get me wrong, there is that aspect, but I would never go to an incident and, as I know people have in the past, saw maybe family members within that position and have become overwhelmed by it and have not taken it to it so well. So, but for me, I do like ensuring that when I finish 8 o'clock in the morning on my last night shift, I'm going home. That's my separation. I've now got my days off in which I'm now at home. I can concentrate on me, the kids, the family, all the stuff that I get myself involved in. And that's my time away from it. So I think that's a healthy, for me, as I say, personally, it's a healthy approach to dealing with what we see and what we do at work.
Yeah, everyone deals with things in their own way, I guess.
Yeah.
But I would just
I was going to say, sorry, I was just going to put a light heart on it. Apart from the other night, I was told that I was on TV the other night on this emergency code red on 5-star, and I went flipping through it, and there I was cutting someone out of a car who's sort of in a fairly bad way. He had ruptured his spleen, and it's all on the TV, so I'm not sort of breaking any confidentiality because it's all written. I broke his leg and a few other things, and was in a very bad way. And there's me cutting the bloke out of the car, and I've sort of not really told the friends and family about it, but that's just how it's going to be, unfortunately. Like the incidences I've mentioned earlier, like Untitled Bosley Mill and a few other things, Bob's, it will turn up on the news, unfortunately, and they will recognise, actually, were you there? Yeah, I was. How was it? Right, and then that's it. You can't get away from that, unfortunately.
Yeah. So having seen sort of traumatic instances, and also we've just talked about health and nutrition and looking after your mental health, that's they all kind of roll into one, because if you'd seen the sort of stuff that you'd seen, but you had a bad living routine, you would deal with things in a different manner, and they'd probably play on your mind a lot more if your body was unhealthy. If your body's unhealthy going into a traumatic incident, it's probably going to be a lot worse for you than if you were in a sort of acceptance or positive mental health state at the time. So if you're already down, and then something else just pushes you a bit further down, and another incident pushes you a bit further down, it can really start getting on top of you. So perhaps if you're already slightly, this is for the guest or those that are listening, if you're already in a dip in your life, you need to try and get yourself back up as soon as possible, because you never know when the next hammer's going to hit and something else is going to affect you. So my advice is, if anything is playing in your mind, to get it squared away as soon as possible, because you never know when the next thing's gonna hit.
Definitely. And I'm gonna say I'm doing or have done a big package on food and mood and how that has an effect on you. And you're quite right in what you're saying. If you eat poorly, your mood's only going to be down, and if you've got something that you're dealing with on top of that, be it a nasty incident or something that's not been so nice, it's only going to bring you down even more, and the circle will just keep creating itself, because you feel down. I want something to make me feel better. I fancy that burger, which is only going to make you feel worse, and then unfortunately, that spiral ends up going the way it does. But it's just trying to recognize that, like you say, it's recognizing it, getting it off your chest, be it talking or, actually, I'm not eating healthy. That could be the start of my turning point of becoming healthier, mind over matter, feeling better, dealing with these situations that I find myself in and mental struggles better, finding the way in which to deal with them better, because it's recognizing that root cause. And if, as we sort of said, nutrition does play a part in mental well-being hugely.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you the dreaded question. The question I ask all my guests then is, what is the most courageous thing that you've ever seen or heard of?
Now, it would be very easy and obvious for me to jump to the fire service aspect of that and think about the incidences and things that I've been to. I mean, again, there was an incident where there was a nasty road traffic collision, car was on fire, we pulled the bloke out, brought him back to life, and now we didn't think he was going to make it. He's come back and now he's in a wheelchair, and he wants to meet us and get to know us and all the rest of it, and just going from where he was to where he is now, he's just that's a very courageous thing to go through the physiotherapy and all the hard work that he's got to get back to where he is now is a fantastic thing. So that's a really big thing, to be fair to me. And I'm looking back at him, he's it's amazing, and his missus also, who'd had to deal with it. But I'd like to, if I can, use a client, and I won't use their name or use their the full details of what they've done and what they've been involved in. But there was someone that was, let's say, they'd put on a bit of weight. They weren't happy with themselves. Like I've just said, they found themselves into this bit of a spiral. The mood was down, their food was down, they weren't exercising, they were just in a sort of a bit of a poor state. It sort of came to me. They'd split up with their partner. They weren't overly in good shape at the time. And I sort of said to them, like, go away, like I say with all clients, go and continue eating what you normally do, but just record it. It was coming up to Christmas time. I said, go and enjoy Christmas with friends and family, because if you now start at Christmas and want to lose weight and stop eating all the joyful things that we like at Christmas and things that we like, you're only going to resent this whole process. So go away and enjoy yourself. And they did. And they came back in January, come back to me, said, I'm definitely want to do this. I've got to get this done. So started. So we looked at this greater picture, and we found that one of their favorite things was a snack. The big packs of Tyrrell's crisps, the big ones, 150 grams packs. Well, they were eating one of them a day, one pack of them a day, every day. Is a natural habit that they were getting themselves into, a cycle of doing it. I was like, right, okay, well, let's start with that. Let's just stop eating them. Well, I like them. Okay. What else do you like? What else do you like to eat? Well, I like eating Snacker Jacks. I said, well, have a whole packet of Snacker Jacks instead of a packet of crisps. And they went, what? I can't eat all that. I was like, well, you're eating a packet of crisps, the big packs, you'd be able to manage them. No, I won't be able to manage that. Anyway, went through, and they, after a couple of weeks, they said, oh, I can't manage all them Snacker Jacks. Well, I'm enjoying it. I'm only having 2 or 3 a day. So they've gone from eating 150 grams, 700, 800 calories of just pure crisps, salt, sugars, and not very good stuff, to now eating 4 Snacker Jacks a day, which are no more than 200 calories, and no salt, sugars, and all the rest of it. So they're eating a lot healthier. So they've managed to save themselves 500 calories just from that. So we moved on, and we started looking at the nutrition, and they really took on board the plate setup, the prepping of meals, the fruits, salads, and things like that, 5 a day, and then got themselves to a point in which, Mitch, I really want to jump in the gym. I think I'm kind of ready for it. So I said, yeah, let's go, and I'll make you a little plan. I'm not really an exercise coach, but I'll set you a plan, and off you go. So off they went. So 6-7 months now later down the line, they've lost just shy of 3 stone. Well, actually, now what are we on now? 11. So that's 6 or 7 months down the line, they had lost 2, maybe 3 stone in weight, which is a very healthy, consistent way doing it. And they've not really they've not reduced the number of calories, they've just ate 1,000 times healthier and increased their exercise routine. Now we're into the 11th month, coming up now to Christmas, where we started with them a year ago. They're now almost approaching 4 stone down in a year. And that is just effort, mindset, where I want to be, a courageous effort into ensuring that they have a healthy outlook in life. And that's what they've done. And they've really sort of inspired others, that when I have people to coach, I always refer back to them. I always go back to them and say, this person's done this. If they can do that, you who wants to lose a few pounds to go on holiday and look a little bit leaner can definitely do it. If they can do that, you can do that. So, you know, they're a credit to themselves, really. They've done a fantastic job. It's just all I've done every so often is just give them a little poke in the side, just to sort of say, how are you getting on? What are you doing? Are you still using this? How are you getting on with your 5 a day? Are you eating this meal plan to ensure that you keep it on? And everything, every time is yes, yes, yes. And the results are there to show, you know, they've done amazingly. So, yeah,
that's
proud
brilliant,
of them.
yeah. That's brilliant. That's courage to say, I don't like my circumstances. I don't like how I look. I'm going to change, you know, for example, or I don't like my situation that I'm in. I'm going to change it. And then changing that and sticking with it is really courageous, because you could have been living your life a certain way for 30 years and you've lived like that for 30 years. And it might be habits you picked up from your parents when you were a baby or a toddler or a kid. And then as an adult going, right, I'm now going to change my circumstances. I'm going to do something differently to what I've always done. That's courageous to do that.
Yeah, it's stepping out of their normality, because normality is so comfortable and it's a nice place to be, because you know what you can do, you know what you can get away with, and you know where you are. Stepping out of that comfort zone and jumping into something completely different, which is, as you say, alien to them, is a very courageous thing. And for them to get the results they have, they've, you know, inspired now others to go on, and that's what I now, when I see them and speak to them or message them, and I remind them of that, you know, you are now influencing others now because of what you've done. So yeah, it's they've done amazingly. They're proud of them, really.
Yeah, that's great. That's really good.
Yeah.
So where's the best place for any of the listeners if they want to find you or your sites? Where's the best place to look?
So I've got my website, but I'm very active on Instagram. So mitchstafford _EHN. I'm regularly on there, posting things through my stories, and, you know, regularly updating things. I'm on Facebook. If you just put Mitch Stafford exercise, health, nutrition, you'll find me quite easily. Where else am I? I'm sure I'm somewhere else, but I don't, you know, but Instagram is me, exercisehealthnutrition.org, and you'll find everything on there. So be it nutrition plans, workshops, even selling my own protein pancakes, you know, that seems to be a bit of a hit, they do. So yeah, so if you want to check it out, they're the places to go. But I always make an awful lot of contact with people through Instagram. So I think because I'm active on there, people see that and they get in touch quite regularly, even if it is just the odd little question of no, I don't know, what can I have with me chicken today to ensure that it's a bit healthier? You know, there's just little things like that. What dressing would you recommend? Well, low salt, low sugar one that's gonna, you know, taste nice. Really. So yeah, I'm always happy to answer people's questions through Instagram or Facebook if they've got on it.
Happy days. So, thank you very much for coming on the show. In fact, I've got one more question I wanted to ask you. I've got a guest that I want to line up for the future, and he does a thing called cold water therapy. And every morning I wake up, and, you know, the kids normally wake us up at about 6:30, and, you know, I might pop the kettle on, look at my phone, and every morning about 6:30 he's in a river or a lake or just a bucket of ice at 6:30 in the morning. What are you doing? What's he doing? What do you know about cold water therapy?
Oh, well, I mean, I'm not massively, I don't know an awful lot about it. The only bits I know about it is through a little bit of research I've done it. But it's such an amazing way to wake your body up. I've done it a few times myself in a river just down the road from me, or I've been for a run, or I've been for a little bit of a hike with some weight on my shoulders, and my old fame. If you look on Instagram, you'll see a log that I run around with every so often, and this, that, and the other. And after I've worked up a proper sweat, and I'm really jumping in that water, it's just really cold. Honestly, it's dead refreshing, but it just helps release them toxins that are built up in your muscles. It relieves stress. It reduces your blood pressure. So if people that suffer from high blood pressure, it could help reduce that. Honestly, it is a tool that I think personally I was looking for a nice bucket that I could jump in myself personally, but just like a big blue drum, the big oil drums. I just wanted one of them and just jump in every so often, but I haven't managed to find one yet. Yeah, but so there is a lot of benefits.
I'll send you a link to this guy. I think it's 1% Daily is his. I think he does a podcast, but just very rarely. But he's in a wheelie bin. he's filled a wheelie bin up full of water, and he gets in it. I think it's brilliant. Like every morning at 6:30 is really good.
Yeah, honestly, I think honestly, if I could do it more, I would do it more. I mean, I've got my hot tub that's out there freezing cold now, but I've got to be brave. And it's probably not in a clean state at the minute, so I probably won't do that just yet. But it's definitely something I want to do. Definitely.
Yeah, cool.
It's recommended.
All right. Well, I was about to, so thank you very much for coming on. Really appreciate having you on board. If you want to find Mitch, go to, again, with the website and the Instagram, MS.
So website, exercisehealthnutrition.org, Instagram, mitchstafford _EHN, or Facebook, Mitch Stafford, Exercise Health Nutrition, I think it is. But I'm out there if anyone needs some help.
Brilliant. Perfect. Thanks again. I'll speak to you very soon.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
Ta-da.
Hello, everyone. You're listening to Blue Pigment Podcast. If you want to become a patron of this show, please go to patreon.com/Blue Pigment. You will be helping me help the talent that I find along the way. Not only that, the podcast is an advocate for mental health and the positive message in which we want to send about mental health. So if you are a bit about that and you want to jump on board, then please become a patron at patreon.com/Blue Pigment. Would love to have you on board. And not only that, you'll get the chance to get some free stuff and be giving another big giveaway soon. To find out what it is, go to patreon.com/Blue Pigment, become a patron and get yourself some free stuff. The opinions or views expressed on this podcast are solely of my own or the guests and do not represent the opinions or views of anybody else or the Ministry of Defence.
Shish kebab, Shawshank Redemption, Chicago! You're out of there!